Well, what is it? The Cold War was a conflict held between the United States of America and the USSR, now Russia, in the one the US tried to control, mostly to stop the expansion of communism. This wasn't directly a war, but a rivalry full of propaganda, espionage, and political maneuvering. It also consists in a competition to prove their superiority aspects regarding technological advances. Some of the most important dates, for me at least, are in February 4, 1954, Churchill, Roosevelt, and Stalin attended to the Yalta Conference in the one they tried to discover weak points and try to unify Europe. In 1947, Truman's doctrine was created to provide aid to democratic countries under the threat of internal or external forces. The Truman doctrine was also against communism. In 1947, the Marshall Plan was created by the Secretary of State George C. Marshall in order to restore the economy of Europe, channeling 13 billion to restore Europe. In October 4, 1957, the Soviet Union launched the first artificial satellite, the Sputnik. This in the space race, winning um, this the honor to have the first satellite in space. In 1961, Russia sent his first man to the space, winning the space race. In 1969, Neil Armstrong landed on the moon, being the first man to ship this. Why is it called Cold War? Because it wasn't at all some bloody fight. It wasn't violent at all. It was mostly a tense situation between the two countries. And the term Cold War first appeared in a 1945 essay by the English writer George Orwell called You and the Atomic Bomb. Let me talk you about the two social systems that were the cause of the fight. Capitalism, it's a political movement in the one individuals have right of property and they work to perform certain activities which gave them a certain pay. There are social classes and there is a free market. In the socialism, the creator was Karl Marx, and it was a political movement controlled by the government in which this distributes the wealth, creates the unique total payment for the citizens. There are no social classes in this political movement. This one was the one preferred by the USSR. This is the interview I made to the teacher Miguel Eduardo Razo. He's 25, he's passionate about the topic, and his career is being an engineer in communications and electronics. Okay, what country were the world leaders during this period? The USSR and the US. Why did the countries who were allies during the war become enemies after war? For the type of economy, social system, and political status. For one side, the US and their allies managed capitalism, and for the other, the USSR wanted socialism. Example of this was Mexico or Canada, who supported the US. Meanwhile, Chile, Cuba, Vietnam supported the USSR. This created the means of division. Where did the Cold War took place? This wasn't exactly an armed war, but a legal one. It can be compared to the World War II. It was fought mostly in smaller allies territories of USA as well as in USSR ones, like for example in Cuba, Chile, Palestine, Occidental countries, and etc. What opinion did the general public have of the Cold War? The Cold War. Most of us, me and my friends, think of this as something stupid between two countries. For things like political systems, it was unnecessary, selfish, and only comparable to a fight between kids. What type of weapons did the two world powers have at their disposition? They did have weapons, even though it wasn't not a fight at all. They had legal weapons. They created treaties, conventions, trade relations, etc. It was mostly a legal fight. This is an example of the propaganda that was ruling the countries during this period. In my opinion, this so called war was mostly a misunderstood created by the refusal from the US to accept or tolerate at all the expansion of political systems that was competing against them, communism. I believe an army war was not created mostly because they had just suffered the World War II. This conflict was for me silly and childish, but still an, import, an important part of our global history. And in my opinion, I rather prefer socialism, not because it's the best political political system, but because it gives everybody the opportunity to be equal. So they have always something to come home for. They have a a solid base to grow. Thank you.